Welcome back to The Way We Farm. In today's episode of Tom's Toys, we're going to talk about our classic 1978 359 Peterbilt. So we bought this in the fall. Actually, it was January 1st. I bought it New Year's Eve morning, to be honest. And then that was the start of 2011. And this truck was way down by New York City. So I'd gone out west looking at trucks, looking at Peterbilts. We looked at an International, some, dare I say, Volvos. And somebody said,
why does it have to be a Peterbilt?
Because Peterbilts are cool, man. There's just something about a Peterbilt. What is cooler than that old school grill right there? Them air cleaners. Now, this truck definitely needs to be painted. We got brand new tires for the back. She's got chrome stacks. I'm going to tell you a little story about when we went to get it. But this old truck, when we got this home and started using it in the summer of 2011, man, did I feel cool. So on the ride home, we blew a small hole in the radiator, which was disheartening. A couple buddies of mine went in to get it with me. We were coming home. Come to find out, these aren't Peterbilt steps, but that's okay. They can be changed. And then the guy said, why has it got an International sleeper on it? Oh, I was disheartened. My classic Pete has an International sleeper. Upon further review, it is a Double Eagles Industries. There's my DOT number if you want to do something bad. It's a Double Eagles Industries sleeper. So those sleepers were made for trucks back in the late 70s and early 80s. So that sleeper's kind of rare. The more I talk to people, the more they say, do not get rid of that sleeper. I was going to take it off, put a 36-inch Pete sleeper on it. They said, you really got to keep that sleeper on there. So let's look in the interior. Haven't looked inside this old girl in a couple of months. Oh, she's got a few little bees wings and stuff, but this old classic interior is just so cool, man. I love this old school interior. It's got what they call the Corvette dash. And it's 13 speed. It's got a 400 Cummins big cam in it. Air ride seat. Air ride passenger seat. Back in the day, this would have been one cool truck. So someday we're going to paint it. We got a paint scheme in mind. So on the ride home, went down to pick it up. It was 5 degrees that morning. The guy bought it from down in Newburgh, New York. Had not plugged it in overnight. Somehow the old Cummins started. She come to life. We got her started. We got ready to come home. Like I say, started coming home. Had a little bit of a spring in the radiator. So it had, for some reason at that time, it had no heat. So we were coming along and we got partway home. And I don't know if you know anything about these old Petes. They have air wipers. That one's a little collywampus. So this thing didn't have any heat. I bought a little plug-in cigarette lighter one. I had that plugged in, had it on the dash, started driving home, bobtailing in a snowstorm. The windshield wiper would go up to the center of the window and wouldn't return. So I took my work boot lace off my left boot, I put it out this little window, and I tied it to the wiper arm. So it had enough air pressure, it would go psh, and then stay. And then I would pull it back down when it got snow on the windshield, and then it would go, psh, and then it would come back down with the shoestring. So we got home that night. I was so cold, I could barely walk. My feet were cold, my ankles were cold, my knees were cold. I got out of the truck, I could barely limp to the house. That was before we had a shop. So we took it to the my brother's shop. We pulled the radiator out. I didn't know, but there wasn't a new radiator to be had in the country. Called a place in Sweet Home, Oregon, and they made us a custom-built radiator, shipped it to us. I think it was the 10th day of April, 2011. We put it in, Diane and I put it in my brother's driveway. We used his backhoe to put the radiator up over the hood. We installed it, worked out great. I called the guy out there in Oregon and told him what a great job he did, and he's like, but, and I'm like, but nothing. That was cool. You saved my old truck. So this truck came with a wet kit. So for those that don't know, a wet kit is the hydraulics. It's got a dual line wet kit. So it's got a return line on that side. So when we used it on the lowboy and stuff, you just hook right up to that side. So she needs some work, little rust on the frame. Like I say, we just bought new tires we're going to put on it. We pull this little 28-foot Dorsey trailer. It's got a roll tarp on it. We call this our articulated 10-wheeler because the trailer's so short. But this old Pete's got a long wheelbase. We get this thing painted up and restored to all its former glory. She is gonna be cool. So we're gonna take a quick walk over and show you the first truck we ever bought here in a minute. But this is the first real truck we ever owned, and man, do I still love this old girl. If you saw the story of my first Tom's Toys, I bought our 4430 in the spring of 2009 before we were farming, and this truck came from the estate sale. So we bought this old Brigadier. It's got a 3208 catnet, 5-speed transmission, 2-speed axle, 16-foot steel bed. We got a fertilizer tank in it right now. We hauled water with it all summer. But this old truck is cool. We paid $2,200. It was part of the deal with the 4430, and I am so glad that we kept this old truck because it might not look like much, but it's very handy, and it is just cool. When we first started farming, this is what we were using, and I don't like parting with stuff that we've had for a long time. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and we'll see you on the next episode of Tom's Toys. Thanks for watching.